to Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers' Walk by Faith Wednesday webinar, where Deacon Harold and guests explore our Catholic faith through passionate discussion. Get ready as Deacon Harold and his diverse guests bring an array of knowledge and life to Catholic teaching. You are watching Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers' Walk by Faith Wednesday webinar.
Hello, and welcome to the Walk by Faith Wednesday webinar. I'm your host, Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, and first of all, I'd like to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving. We're in that time of year where there's so much focus on family. And one thing I love about the Catholic Church is that, you saw, like, even after Halloween, right, almost a month ago, there was this big push for Christmas already. They want to bypass Thanksgiving and get right into the Christmas season. And I love about our faith is that we take the time to just take a deep breath and slow down and focus on the process, right? So we just finished the end of the church's liturgical year with the Feast of Christ the King. And now we are preparing for Advent, Adveniat, which means arrival or coming. In Latin. We're waiting for the coming of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, of course, at Christmas. But there's a lead up to that, right? And so we are preparing ourselves for the coming of Christ, not only at Christmas, but also in our own lives. And to help us do that, especially during this beautiful time of year, we're focusing on Christ coming in a much deeper and richer way into the life of the family. We have with us once again one of our favorite guests on the Walk by Faith Wednesday webinar, Donna Marie Cooper O'Boyle, who's going to talk to us about two wonderful books that she's written. The first one we're going to talk about is Feeding the Family Soul, which I had the great honor and privilege of writing the foreword to that book. And so, Donna Marie, welcome back to the Walk by Faith Wednesday webinar.
Oh, thank you so much, Deacon Harold. It's great to be here with you again. I love our conversation, so thank you for having me back.
Great. Why don't you hold up the book so people can see the two books we're going to discuss? There's the first one, Feeding Your Family Soul, by Donna Marie Cooper O'Boyle, right there. Dinner Table Spirituality, very important. I'm so glad we're going to talk about this. And then the second book that we're going to talk about is Reclaiming Sundays. Both very appropriate books for this time of year, and the strong focus on family life as well. So why don't we talk about the first book? First of all, Donna, why did you write it, Feeding Your Family Soul?
Wow. Well, thank you so much for asking. And again, thank you for writing that tremendous foreword that graces the beginning of this book. Well, just to give you a little background, I grew up as the seventh of 8 children. And we might not have had a lot, or fancy dinners, but my mother instilled that beautiful tradition in us to gather together at the dinner table. Back then we called it supper. I thought I got fancier as I got older, and I called it dinner. So that's why I say dinner table spirituality. Call it supper, call it dinner, whatever you'd like. But my mother, thank God, she made sure all of her kids would gather around the table to eat, break bread, to say a little prayer. And she established that beautiful tradition, in my little heart at the time, and I brought it through as I grew up into my own domestic church. And so dinner time is so important, but this book is a lot more than dinner. It's dinner table spirituality. And what I did in this book is to provide the Catholic tools for parents and even grandparents to teach the faith right at the dinner table, because you have your captive audience. The parents really are the first and foremost educators of the faith, but a lot of them, don't realize that tremendous responsibility. They might think, well, they're getting faith education someplace, or, at school or the religion class, that kind of thing. But really the parent is the one who lays down that beautiful foundation of faith. But, we're busy people, we're stretched, sometimes, stressed too, because they're working so hard, trying to provide, doing all of this. So maybe they kind of forget to make sure they're teaching the faith, or maybe they don't have the tools. Maybe they don't have the catechism right nearby. And I like to encourage families, have that Catholic Catechism right in your kitchen, your dining room, wherever. You could pick it up and read from it. But what I did in this book is I put 53, not just 52 for every week of the year. I added an extra credit lesson because I didn't want to leave out the angels. I have a chapter at the end about holy angels. But I put it all together so parents and grandparents can just get this book, just flip open to whatever lesson they want to teach their kids about, and just teach it right at the table for 15 minutes, like say on a Sunday, choose a Sunday as your day, or maybe, you don't know it doesn't work that week for Sunday, you do it on a Wednesday, whatever you want to do. And it's all there. We might go into how the chapters are broken up, but, I try to just give them everything that they need. Of course, it's not the full Catholic teaching in this little book, but it gets you started, it gets you talking about the faith, gets the kids learning and discussing. And so, I've always desired to just give this, kind of Catholic tool to the parents so that they could say, okay, maybe I don't know all the faith, but maybe I could open up this book and get the kids to the table and make sure they're sitting together. No matter if it's chaotic or what, but we're together as a family, and we're going to grow together in holiness. We're going to grow together in that familial bond of, being there as a family and creating those traditions that they can bring into their own, homes, their own domestic churches later on in life. So I packed a lot into that answer, but I was trying to explain, why it's important for the family to gather together, to break bread together, but to learn the faith together too.
Excellent. Let me try to synthesize, at least for myself, why I think this book is so important right now. I think for a couple of reasons. One, coming out of COVID, we've been isolated and masked and distanced for so long that we've been separated from one another. We need to come back together again as a family, right? As a people of God. And of course, as you mentioned, the family is the domestic church, the church of the home, which serves as the foundation for civilization, culture, and society. So for us as Catholics, we build strong families. You have a strong church. We have a strong church. We have a strong culture. So that's one reason. I think that the second reason is that you said something I just want to expand on a little bit, because I think it's so very important. And it's in many cases, we have parents who have, in a sense, outsourced their responsibility of teaching the faith to their children, right? We'll drive them to soccer games and basketball and extracurriculars. But then when it comes to the faith, father will do it. The youth group will do it. Confirmation class will do it. And there's a disconnect between the faith and the everyday lived experience, because the young people don't see the faith being lived out at home. And so what I noticed, what some parishes are starting to do, they're starting to implement family catechesis in the parish. So it's not just dropping the kids off for first communion preparation or confirmation preparation. They're either including the parents in the class or having a parallel class for parents while their children are going through instruction, so that they can build a foundation to bring home and start having discussions about the faith at home. I think your book fits perfectly into both of those scenarios and is extremely important and timely for the times that we're in as a church today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how the book is laid out? Because I'm sure some parents out there are like, they're looking for tools, they're looking for ways to deepen spirituality in their family life. So tell us how your book is laid out and how this could help parents do exactly that.
Sure. Thank you so much. Oh, but you just said so much there. I can't help but touch upon what you just said first. And that is, it's so important that the parishes are doing all this to get the parents involved. Sometimes they kind of, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's a requirement, and the parents aren't exactly thrilled about it. And I actually spoke at this parish one place, and oh my gosh, it was like my toughest audience, because the kids were in their faith formation, the parents gathered, and I was the speaker to give them a lesson. And every face out there was so glum and actually looking mad. They had their cup of coffee and they picked up and they were like, okay, I have to be here. But by the end, they kind of softened up. They were happy. They were talking. So that was good. So I think it's going to take a little time to break out of these funny kind of routines of like farming the kids out and realizing that responsibility as a parent, you know, and to be there are many parents who are very happy with this responsibility, but there are some who don't really realize how important it is for them to really teach the faith and for them to be involved, I think. So I'm glad parishes are doing it. And it reminds me that when this book came out, I can't even believe it, in the first 4 months, more than 10,000 copies sold. And that was because the publisher was so great about selling it to parishes who then implemented it into their programs for, you know, helping the families too to teach the faith. So I think that's so important. And to set the setup of the book, so there are 53 chapters, like I said. So the parent or grandparent could just pick it up and decide, you know, a week in advance. They could say, you know, I'm going to talk about the sacraments for the next few weeks, or I'm going to talk about sin. I'm going to talk about the tradition of prayer. You know, whatever they want to talk about, but to go through, they can start at the beginning, and that way they won't get mixed up and they can, you know, keep going and learn everything. For instance, this chapter 17 is learning perseverance from Saint Monica. So I bring the saints into it too, to help the family learn more about the saints. So we'll start with just a little verse. It might be a quote right from that saint. This is so simple. Nothing is far from God, from Saint Monica. And then I'll give a little preparation, you know, for the parent to read ahead, you know, decide in advance, you know, if you're going to enlist helpers and the kids, you know, to set the table or this or that. And it tells you, you know, it tells you what you can choose to do. And there's an opening prayer for the family to pray together. And then we come to the dinner table teaching. So it's just a short teaching. It takes just a few moments for an older child or a parent or grandparent to read to the family. But it's just rich. It's full of, you know, beautiful church teaching and, you know, lessons that they can apply to their own lives. And then we come to something really fun, are the reflection questions. And this is where I see in families so many beautiful things that unfold, because when they start talking about the faith and the kids, you know, they say these beautiful, precious things sometimes that really get you smiling, or there could be some confusion, and then you can, you know, explain, you know, what the truth about the faith is. And it gives all the helps there. So parents are helped with that. But that's a beautiful time for the family, you know, to share this new knowledge or their perspective on it. Or then they'll get into, hey, yeah, you know what happened at school when that kid did that? I was thinking, yeah, what would Jesus do? Or what would Saint Monica, you know? So you're teaching them, and you're also helping them to continue the theme, because then there's a closing prayer. And then there are optional activities. It tells you where to find those for the upcoming week. It says, see if you can carry out one of these activities sometime during the week. And so it's a weekday prayer as well. Simple little prayer. So every other night at the dinner table, then they would just say, in addition to the grace before meals, dear Lord Jesus, open my heart to your love. Saint Monica, teach me to be more to pray more and to be persevering. Amen. So throughout the week, you know, they're being reminded of what they learned. Saint Monica teaches them how to persevere, you know, how she prayed for her son and everything. Then a theme extension. So it's like another choice. Do you want to do something else? It's so simple. It's not like, oh, go out and, you know, build a castle or go make a big cake and share it with your neighborhood or something. It's just simple, like, if you experience a time when you want to give up on something, try to pause and to say a prayer to be more persevering. You can just say to yourself, what would Saint Monica do? So you're teaching the kids, you know, during the week, you know, when this happens at school or this happens at home, you know, let's think for a minute. What would she do right now? And then they might think, yeah, that's right. She prayed more. She prayed more. Just like Jesus prayed more in the garden, you know, when he was suffering. And so then there's a little extra credit too, gives you some ideas. This one is sometime this week, take a few moments to reach out to someone you know who could use some encouragement. just little things, but little things could be great in God's eyes. You know, when you put a lot of love into them, when you're teaching the family how to be a Christian, you know, how to learn to be a Catholic, how to impart God's love to others and do the works of mercy. So just simple lessons, but packed with church teaching, giving encouragement. And that particular chapter didn't have a recipe, but many of the chapters have recipes. And these are, every recipe has a story. So the people who shared them with me have a little story that goes with it. And I'm trying to also encourage the family to get in touch with your elderly relatives, you know, call them up on a Sunday or any time and ask them, you know, what's your favorite pie recipe or bread, or what did you do on Sundays, or what did you do? And so then you're connecting the family, you know, and you're bringing those traditions from before down into your own family. And hopefully you're creating new traditions, and those will continue. You know, we need the family. The family is the vital cell of society. And, you know, by nourishing the family with the faith, with the church teaching, and getting them to, you know, to love with Christ's love, and to share and to do works of mercy and connect with your relatives. Have them over, or if you can't because of the pandemic or they're really far away or something, get on the phone, you know, talk to them. Time goes on and you'll be sorry later on that you didn't make the time. So that's what I'm trying to do in all my books for the family, is to encourage them to make time for the family and, you know, to be there for one another.
Yeah, what I love about your approach, it really focuses on that family meal aspect, that when the families gather together. So just to encourage them, instead of people sitting in front of the TV eating, you know, around the television set, the television set's not the center of the family life. It really is Jesus Christ. And so you sit around the dinner table, and so you can eat, and then you have, you know, you have this, you can follow the book as well as you're sitting at the dinner table talking about these beautiful things. And because you have on a weekly schedule, it's basically once a week. So you can pick a day of the week. We come together as a family, and I think you kill two birds with one stone. Not only do you have the emphasizing the family meal, which I think would carry over to the other days of the week, you're also using your book as a wonderful resource to deepen, again, feeding the family's soul, the body, and the soul. So you have that beautiful connection, which reminds me again of the incarnation, right? Because the word became flesh and dwelt among us, because Jesus wanted to touch us with his own hands and to love us with his own heart. You know, so I think your book does that in a very, very beautiful way. The second book that we're going to take a look at is about Sundays. And again, we've gotten into, this is the time of year where, you know, Sunday has not become a day of rest. It's become a day of shopping and all these other things, again, focusing on the holidays and all the things coming up. And again, losing that sense of what Sunday is supposed to be about, and focusing on family. So tell us a little bit about why you wrote you can hold up and show us your beautiful second book as well, Reclaiming Sunday. So tell us a little bit about that book.
Yes, so thank you so much, Deacon Harold. And again, I'm going to be a bad guest on your show and say something before I answer the question. And that is, you reminded me so much when you said about the television set and kid, you know, the family just eating there, and they're disconnected. You know, one time a teenage girl came into my home with her family, and we were going to have lunch, and I set the table and I put silverware. I'm going to make the story very short. And she looked at me and said, "Why are you setting the table?" I said, "Well, we're having a meal, aren't we?" And, you know, and she said, "Well, at our house, you know, I eat in front of the computer, or this one eats over in front of the TV." And the poor young lady didn't have that sense of family. So it's important for us to, you know, bring that back, you know, bring back Sundays, bring back family meals. And our example can really help somebody like that girl who came into my home, you know, and then she might encourage her family, "Hey, let's sit down at the table," you know. So you've got to, you know, hang on to those family times, because otherwise, you know, the kids grow up, and what kind of foundation have you set down for them? And with the Sundays, you know, is Sunday just another day of the week? You know, for some of us it is, you know, some people cram so much into the weekend because they're working hard or this or that. And like you said, sports activities and all of that, unfortunately, fill up the Sundays, and it's hard to combat that. And we won't get into every single aspect of this because there's just not enough time, but just real quickly, maybe you could be the example. You could be the family that doesn't sign up your child for that particular sport because it's too much, taking up too much of your Sunday. It's hard to do, but as a Catholic, we're supposed to be countercultural, right? We lead countercultural lives. And so sometimes you might talk to the other parents and say, yeah, I'm not going to do that sport this year. We really need to, do other things that aren't taking up our whole Sunday. So in addition to those kind of things, I know I'm kind of talking fast, trying to get a lot in here. There's all the busyness I think we put on ourselves, shopping, this and that. And there is a way to kind of calm it down. There is a way to kind of balance it by not filling the Sunday with just all that stuff. So the reason I wrote Reclaiming Sundays with this very long subtitle, pray, play, serve, rest, refresh, and celebrate, because those are the things we're supposed to do on Sunday. Make God the center of our lives. He gives us the third commandment, after all. He tells us all about how to slow down and make Sunday an important day, right? In the Catechism, for instance, paragraph 2194, you could go to that and take a look. It's all about, making Sunday holy. So because there's so much coming at us, and at this time of year, that need to get everything done, and we can't enjoy Advent that much because we're forgetting about it. We're rushing to Christmas. We've got to slow down, enjoy Advent, pray through Advent, balance things out so you're not cluttering up everything with just stuff, and take the time to carve out for the prayer, for family. And so that's why I thought it was so important to actually show families how you could reclaim the Sundays. And in this book, I give them 52 Sunday ideas of what they can do. And, if you look at the table of contents, there's all different kinds of topics. And I break it down into sections: spring Sundays, summer Sundays, autumn Sundays, winter, Lenten, Easter, Advent, Marian Sundays, family event Sundays, holidays and feast days, saintly Sundays, ordinary time Sundays, works of mercy Sunday. So it's packed, and each section has so many different ideas. So you don't have to follow it in order. You can just look at it a week in advance and say, hey, I think I'm going to do mug of soup Sunday. And we could talk about that after. But, just to give the family the Catholic tools, different craft ideas, activity ideas, activities that are not only fun, but they're educational too. So it's just packed with a lot of stuff that would really help to nourish the heart of a family, very much following church teaching and trying to encourage them, again, to connect with their family, to make get messy in the kitchen, make a meal together, at least every so often. We don't always have to open that jar of spaghetti sauce. Once in a while, we can maybe stir the sauce and make our own things, So I'm trying to get the family to do that in the heart of the home, to be together, to learn together, and to really reclaim their Sunday together.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And of course, there's going to be challenges in some families. You may have a parent who is a physician or a police officer or a fireman or works in a profession where they have to work on, they have rotating days off or something like that. So Sunday, they may have to work for part of that Sunday. But what I love about your book is that it doesn't necessarily have to encompass the entire day. So whatever time that the family does have together on a Sunday, that could be precious time to really bond that family. And why? One of the things I think is important that I got from reading the book was that you're creating these beautiful traditions that your children are going to one day bring into their own families. See, that's the key. So it's something that's perpetual. It's not just something you're doing right now. You're laying a strong foundation upon which God will build the house of your children's lives with them when they go into their own families. I mean, that's one thing that I'm always conscious of. Are the kids going to remember, oh, there's daddy leaving again, and all I remember about him is another suitcase going out the door? Or do they remember that precious family time, those moments where we're playing and having fun and cooking together and eating together and having wonderful discussions about the faith? Because I think ultimately that's how we keep our kids strong in the faith, is by emphasizing the beautiful things that you're talking about, especially for Sundays.
That's so beautiful, Deacon Harold. So beautiful. Yes, that we need to nurture that. We need to develop that in their hearts and souls and spend that time. And, you know, the physicians and the people who really have to work, of course they do. But what I'm trying to also get across to families is that maybe we would have a little bit more time for that togetherness if we're not always, what's that latest status update? Oh, wait a minute, let me check that out. And everybody's checking everything out and all these devices. That's a subject that could take a while to talk about, because I don't think that little ones should be having their phones. But that's another subject. So, because we have to be careful, you know, what they're exposed to. But if we slow down on all of that stuff, you know, that we think we need to do, we would be surprised about how much more time we have. And like you said, it doesn't take up the entire Sunday to say, okay, let's sit down, we're going to do this book today. It's not like that at all. These are ideas for ways to reclaim your Sunday. And of course with prayer, and of course with Holy Mass, which is the most important thing to get to do together if you're not shut in or, you know, away because of a pandemic or something like that. Of course, Holy Mass, and then spending that time, do something fun together. And that's what it's all about. So, you know, and everybody too can have their own quiet time, you know, half an hour. Hey, why don't you close your eyes? And it doesn't always have to be scrolling. It's just read a book. We could have our individual time during the day too, but to spend much time with the family and invite relatives over or visit relatives, or make extra dinner and bring it over to your elderly neighbor. That's what we like to do a lot, you know. So to teach the family about the works of mercy, spend that time. And like you said, they're going to remember those beautiful moments of cooking in the kitchen and running around outside and going to a shrine, a little mini pilgrimage to visit and learn about a saint or something. And these things form their foundation, form their consciences, and they bring them into the future. And we just pray as parents and grandparents that the job we're doing will really, really help their heart and soul all throughout life. Even if they stray away, at some point, they've got that foundation you've established. And hopefully and prayerfully with your fervent prayers, you know, will find their way back on that straight and narrow path that leads to heaven.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. And for those of you out there who want to go a little deeper, St. John Paul II wrote a document, an apostolic letter called Dies Domini, the Day of the Lord. So you could just Google that. Again, just St. John Paul II, the Day of the Lord, or in Latin, Dies Domini. He has a whole apostolic letter. It's not very long, but very rich, talking about the importance of Sunday. Now, Donna Marie, I love this part. You've kind of put all of this together in what I think is an absolutely beautiful and magnificent Christmas. If you will, it's not necessarily a Christmas gift, but since it's this time of year, I think you've put together something that would be tremendous blessing in the lives of so many families, that I think would be an incredible, incredible Christmas gift. Can you please share that with us right now?
Yes, thank you so much. Well, the reason I want to share it with families is because I want to help to protect the family. So you'll know when I show you what this is. It might be hard to hold it up. This is like, I'll hold this so you can see the size of the box, and it's an actual gift set. And it's for, I say it's a domestic church, housewarming, wedding, shower. This comes with it. Baptism gift. You know, it's got a lot of sacramentals here, and it includes a beeswax candle, which a Catholic home should have. After you bless this, it's good to light in storms and prayer times. I have a complimentary blessed salt, a little thing of blessed salt, which has the full exorcism blessing. I want families to be able to protect their homes with sacramentals. And so I put as a compliment, blessed Saint Benedict medals with the full exorcism blessing. The books that we talked about, Feeding a Family Soul, Reclaiming Sundays, and also a DVD that I helped produce with the publisher, which is for parents, grandparents, faith formation. It comes with holy water font, holy water bottles, things that domestic churches should have, so that you can teach the children, bless yourselves with holy water, and before you leave the home, at night, before you go to bed, and these kinds of things. So I decided I'm going to just put these things together and add a few things so parents and grandparents could have them. And also it comes with a formula for blessing the salt in case you want to bring it to your priest or deacon. Use this salt, but then buy more, and they can put that beautiful, powerful blessing on it for you. So you'll be protected by the sacramentals in your domestic church. So that's why I put that together. And then I have a couple of versions with other books and other DVDs in there. So you can buy it as a gift for someone in your life, a baptism's coming up, a wedding, or for your own, in your own domestic church. So it's available at my website.
Yes, I'm going to have, of course, links to the website below the video. But what is the website now? Because people just can't wait. They're like hungry to get that right now.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. www.donnacooperoboyle.com. So, and if you put in Donna Marie Cooper O'Boyle, it'll get you to the same place. So then just go to, you'll have to look around a little bit. I have a book page. I have all kinds of pages. I have bracelets. And on a blog post, you'll find the gift box. So it's just scroll down a little on the main page and you'll see it.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, as usual, this has been such a blessed time with you, Donna Marie. It's just been so beautiful. Anyone share any final reflections as we to help our families as we move into the Advent season, as we're preparing ourselves for the coming of Christ and Christmas, especially as a family? Any last minute advice or just reflections?
Oh, thanks for asking. Well, I think, we're never going to regret, looking back later on, the time that we put in, the time we spent with the family. So, we don't want to be frenzied and running around and just listening to everything coming at us. We have to take control as the parent and the grandparent and just, okay, let's take a breath. Let's sit down now. Let's sit down at the table. Why don't we have a snack and talk about what we're going to do on Sunday? Just bring it to a dull roar, all the stuff going on, that doesn't have to dictate to us what we do as a Catholic family. Let's just make a point of calming down, we don't have to do everything. We don't have to have perfection all over the place, so you don't have to be looking at, let me make the house this way. Let's do this. Spend the time. That's the best gift you'll ever give your family, is loving them, hugging them, listening to them, sitting on the edge of their bed at night with each one of them. What's going on, how, and just give them that individual time. So make Advent a time to really connect with, to be with, to love your family, and don't worry about all that other stuff.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. Donna Marie, it's been great to have you on. Look forward to having you on again. And thank you, all of you, for joining us for the Walk by Faith Wednesday webinar. I'm Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. Happy Thanksgiving and a happy start to your Advent season. And until next time, remember that God is love, and he who lives in love lives in God, and God lives in him. Take care, my friends, and God bless you.
Thank you for watching Deacon Harold's Walk by Faith Wednesday webinar. Tune in next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for more.